Hi everyone, I'm Nelson,
And I'm Whitney,
and we're co-founders of Teens Take Charge.
a student-led movement for educational equity.
I'm here with Whitney and Nelson at Democracy Prep Charter High School in Harlem.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you guys back. I'm getting deja vu over here on the other side of the table. So I'm Taylor McGraw, editor of The Bell, and we're gearing up for an awesome season 2 this spring. But right now, I'm here with these two so we can talk about the impact that Teens Take Charge is making. Before we get down to business, how are you guys? What's going on?
We've been good. Currently, a lot of people have been getting their college acceptances, and it's like a really empowering and motivating time of the year. Tomorrow, I find out about Columbia, and yesterday we heard back from one of our closest friends, Xavier. She got into Harvard, so that was amazing and really inspiring to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are all rooting for you guys and excited to see wherever you wind up. So, Whitney, I know you've told the story of how we've met like a dozen times by now, but do you mind telling it once more?
So basically, it all started with my principal telling me that there was someone who was gonna shadow me for my days in school, and this person wanted to see the life of a DP student, and this was Taylor, you, and then eventually you got to know me and other students as well, and this was where you met Nelson and an alumni from our school named Ashe. So eventually it was history after that. We created Teens Take Charge and the movement started.
Yeah, and it's really crazy. Like the three of us have had some, let's say, really interesting experiences together since then.
Definitely. I remember when we had to walk through the blizzard, when we had to meet up for an episode for the podcast.
Yeah, and don't forget when we were sitting on the cold library balcony and at Fordham and the Bronx Library Center, planning our first Teens Take Charge show in April.
And it's like freezing again today, so I think there's something about the cold weather that brings us together. But it's all been worth it, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So anyway, Teens Take Charge had a big event at the Schomburg Center that we excerpted in an earlier episode that you may have listened to. We've also had meetings with senior officials from the DOE. We're joining forces with other student leadership groups. And last Thursday, we testified at the City Council's hearing on school integration. So Nelson and Whitney were there for that experience. What was that like for you guys?
So the experience, it was amazing. Stepping into City Hall, period, because that was our first time, my first time being in City Hall. And it was like a point where, we talk as a collective group. But that was the point where we got our voices to be amplified, and we told our stories, and we listened to other stories as well. And I felt like that was an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And I really want to dive into that experience more, just so all the listeners out there can understand this current fight for school integration. But first, do y'all want to give folks just a really quick overview timeline of what's been happening around this issue?
Yeah, sure. So in 2014, the UCLA Civil Rights Project came out with this report naming New York the most segregated school system in the nation.
Yeah, and it's really crazy because, schools have been segregated for decades, but that report finally woke people up to the news. But anyways, the next year, 2015, the City Council passed the School Diversity Accountability Act.
The act required the DOE to start producing an annual report on their diversity efforts and to create an action plan to address segregation.
That plan finally arrived 2 years later, June of this year, and it was underwhelming to say the least. I did a deep analysis of it in an earlier episode if you want to check that out.
Okay, so July, August, September, October, November, nothing really happens. But then on December 7th, the City Council Education Committee decided to hold a hearing.
Okay, good afternoon. Again, my name is Daniel Drum. I'm chair of the Education Committee here in the New York City Council. Today, we have been joined by members of the Education Committee and others.
And that's where we came in. We showed up to the hearing with like 200 other advocates from around the city, including students from the Integrate NYC movement, which you guys can hear about in episode 5.
And the chamber was totally packed. Like, you guys had to sit up in the balcony, right?
Yeah, we had no seats. We had to find stairs actually, and we had to sit on them and peek through the railings to actually see the people who were talking.
Yep.
So just to set the scene a little more, there were 6 or 7 city council members sitting at the front in their big leather chairs, and 2 representatives from the DOE come up to testify.
My name is Josh Wallach. I am the Deputy Chancellor for Early Childhood Education and Student Enrollment.
My name is LaShawn Robinson, and I am the Executive Superintendent of the DOE's Office of Equity and Access.
These two spoke for about 20 minutes and didn't really say much of substance. There were a lot of thank yous.
We are so pleased to be here today to discuss the Mayor and Chancellor's commitment to school diversity with you. And we really want to begin by thanking the Council. I want to take a moment to thank its Council for its leadership on making our schools more diverse and inclusive. Thank you again.
I want to thank Speaker Mark Vivietto and the City Council for this funding and your commitment to this work.
I want to close by thanking you again for the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and we would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Honestly, the only person I thought treated the issue as seriously as it needed to be treated was Ritchie Torres.
63 years ago, the Supreme Court in Brown versus Board of Education famously held that separate but equal is inherently unequal in the field of public education.
Ritchie Torres, you guys might not know, is the youngest city council member. He's only 29, which is just a year older than me. It just goes to show you that wisdom doesn't necessarily come with age when it comes to the city council. So let's play some of this exchange between Torres and the DOE reps, and I just want to get you guys to react to it.
And according to the UCLA project in 2014, we have the most segregated school system in the nation. Do you acknowledge that intense segregation is a crisis in public education?
We do believe that the segregation in New York City schools is an urgent issue that needs to be addressed.
So if you think segregation is a crisis, as I do, why does your plan of action fail to even use the word segregation?
So we used the word diversity in the plan for a specific reason.
Now, when Ritchie Torres said that, I felt like it was that breakthrough, because a lot of the times when you talk about school integration and you talk about the disproportionality between, like, you know, different students, and even like you see the statistics, but they don't say that. Instead, they try to have that whole white picket fence persona and like, oh, everything's okay. You know, we're trying the best that we can. And what Ritchie Torres is saying is like, say what's really happening, you know?
Yeah, and it kind of reminded me of like the systematic problems in place. The reason they linger so long is because people aren't calling it to name. People don't want to say words like segregation because they're scared of the outcome of this. But in order to make a change and really impact this movement, we have to call it out for what it is, because words like segregation have power, and that's going to drive people to want to change.
With respect, Chancellor, I feel like we're creating a conflict where none exists. It's possible to celebrate diversity in the broader sense, but also recognize that class and racial segregation is a historical problem that poisons public education, that poisons every aspect of American life. And the concern I have is that if we're not giving the problem the historical name that it bears, by refusing to even use the word segregation, I worry that we're whitewashing the historical context of racism that explains why our schools have been so inequitable for so long. So for me, it's not only about words, it's about a proper diagnosis of the historical context of our public school system.
I appreciate the comment and question, and we'll be careful and thoughtful about the language we use and the ideas we
Don't be careful, be bold in describing the problem.
We'll be bold.
Be bold.
We'll be bold in describing the problem.
And then be bold in solving it.
And in solving it. And we're looking forward to partnering with you.
Yes.
The mayor and the chancellor, they've used the word segregation. We acknowledge
And let's
that
put it in writing.
We acknowledge that we have an issue here,
Yes.
and we're looking forward to addressing the issue.
So, screening. Do you acknowledge that screening contributes towards segregation and therefore undercuts the goal of equity for all in education?
So screened programs in schools play a role in the landscape of New York City education. They do bring students and families that are interested in particular programs and bring certain talents and abilities.
Here's when Josh Wallach proceeds to explain how they're not sure what effect screening has, which is a lie. They have loads of data that show exactly how devastating this is. And I've talked about it before. There are more freshmen who have passed an 8th grade state math test at a single school, Brooklyn Tech, than at more than 150 high schools combined. That's what screening does. And it makes the job of those 150 high schools nearly impossible because they have such high concentrations of students with really serious academic needs?
I'm answering the question.
Yeah.
I think that it depends on the context, and it depends on the way the community and the particular set of screens play out. We are not adding new screen seats to the system.
Why is that?
Because
you have this feeling that it might contribute towards segregation.
It's not a feeling. We believe that we want to increase access to more programs for more students. We want to maximize the choice.
Do you think screening inhibits access to opportunities and programming?
I think it's clear that we need to take a step back and look at the systems that created segregation in our schools.
I don't want to believe, but just be bold in diagnosing the problem.
Absolutely. So we do know that we need to take a look at policies and practices.
I hope we move toward the elimination of screening, for what it's worth. So, I know my time has expired. So
Thank you.
So anyway, there's a lot more that happened at that hearing, but I want to get to our testimony. And just for context, by the time we got up there, which is like hours after we arrived, there were only 2 council members left. There was the education chair, Daniel Drum, and Brad Lander, who isn't even on the education committee, but as you guys know, has been a big advocate and ally with students in the fight for school integration.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was at our panel. That we had,
the Chamber.
Yeah, Teens Take Charge.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right. He was on our panel. So here's how I started things off. Before I start, I just want to say for the record that I'm a little disappointed that the seats in front of us are less full than the seats behind us, and I hope that we can find another forum to make sure that the right people in the right ears are hearing the messages that these students have.
Just on that note, let me say, sometimes council members, especially at this time of year, are pulled between other hearings. I don't know if you were here when in the beginning and I had to go to one room and come back and vote. But they we'll break this down to them as well when we meet as a committee outside of here. So I wish some more would stay as well, but they will get what you're saying, and we take it very, very seriously.
I just felt like it needed to be said, you know? And by the way, we've got the full video of our testimony on teenstakecharge.com. Just go there and click on testimony. But I do want to hit a few highlights from the students.
Good evening. My name is Nusi. Well, my full name is Nusrat, but I go by Nusi. I am a senior at Academy for Young Writers. I represent Black Lives Matter, GSA, Teens Take Charge, and also Sponsors for Educational Opportunities, also SEO. I understand there's a lot of, big numbers and like percentages about the inequity and the issues, but I want to talk about personally about how I feel. I believe that the DOE do not listen to students. They say they do, but I believe they don't hear the voices that we say. And if we talk about the issues, they come in our classes and we see, we learned this, we learned that, but they don't really look into it. They don't really talk to us.
Good afternoon. My name is Dulce Marquez. I am a senior at New Heights Academy Charter School and a member of Teens Take Charge. This year, I am taking calculus. In our class, we often have a shortage of calculators, and some hardly even work. I'm here to talk about the shortage of supplies and resources at my school. I am here to represent my classmates, to represent my school, and represent a group of people called the minority, but who are actually the majority.
Good morning. My name is Mohammed Dean. I'm a senior at Victory Collegiate High School, and I'm also from Teens Take Charge. A few things I really want to touch upon is, as a senior right now, going to a school that's a Title I school with mostly minorities, one of the hardest things to do is the college application process. Doing early decision wasn't even an option for most kids because most of the requirements that the Common App requires from a guidance counselor was not available. Also, last year my school had an AP class, and the AP textbooks that came a few weeks before the test. So especially as a high school senior who's applying to colleges, many early decision opportunities, early action are just seen as off limits because of what the school does.
Let me ask you a question. Would you know how many students are in your school?
My school has 336 children, and my school is 7 schools in one campus building.
So how many guidance counselors do you have?
We have 1.
One, and that guidance counselor is responsible to help you with college admission?
Is actually also responsible for all interactions from 9th to 12th. So oftentimes when I come for college support, there's been a fight between the freshmen, and he's like, I can't help you. These freshmen are having an issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nelson Luna, and right now I'm going to speak about my earliest memory of inequity. And I think it's important because when we're speaking about the school system, you have to understand the stance that these kids are starting off with, which is kids of color and kids of low-income backgrounds. So my earliest memory of inequity was in 6th grade, and it was in my English language class. And my teacher was speaking about why my charter school had a word count. So we have a 1 million word count where we had to read books and then take online tests in order to earn the worlds. And she said the reason was because there was a 30 million word gap between students of low-income backgrounds and affluent, richer, whiter students. And I remember the minute that she said that, the class erupted in chaos. Kids were like, how is this possible? You're lying. This is not true. And it's the 6th grade class just went into an argument with the teacher. And it wasn't until that she put up the article by psychologists, and after she showed them, she's like, look, this is a real issue. The whole class stood silent. And that was before I even knew what words like inequity, inequality, injustice were, but I understood that there was a problem.
Hello, everyone. My name is Whitney Stevenson, and I'm here to talk about my personal story to when I realized that our education system wasn't integrated. I wanted to go to an art school for high school, and due to the lack of access to art, this was a challenge. I had to create a portfolio with materials my school didn't provide. I arrived to LaGuardia with a portfolio case, borrowed from my sister, art I created not fully knowing the criteria. I entered and I didn't see much people who looked like me. I looked at my portfolio case in comparison to theirs, and the type was different in value, and their artwork was clearly seen to be used by utensils I didn't have. I became immediately intimidated and saw the portfolio difference in quality of the work. As a student of color, we have to work 100 times harder compared to white students who go to a school in the Upper East Side because we're at a disadvantage. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jedrick Estrella, and I'm a senior at Victory Collegiate High School and a member of Teens Take Charge. Coming here to this country, I didn't expect it to be so split. Watching shows on television, one would think all high schools across the country are full of this so-called integration. I came to realize that it was quite the opposite. It isn't daytime television. There aren't any commercial breaks after this dramatic scene. I'm a son of two modest, hard-working immigrants, but it's apparent we're not lucky enough. I didn't get into the pristine high school in Manhattan like my parents wanted. Instead, I got to a school in Canarsie. I didn't get the school with kids of different backgrounds. I got a school that is 88.6% black. I task you with spending a day in our shoes. Clear your schedules, get testimony from students that go to these bad schools, especially the ones you oversee in your district that fall behind, because they need your help. They're students just like me, going to schools just like me, trying to make something out of themselves just like me.
Pretty incredible story. Thank you.
Okay, we got to start wrapping things up. We've got a busy day today. You guys have another interview to do, and then we're going downtown to present to the civic group tonight about segregation, so excited for that. Mm-hmm. But before we sign off here, I want to give you all a chance to tell the millions of listeners out there who subscribe to The Bell, what are one or two very tangible things that you want them to do to help teens take charge in the fight for educational equity in New York City?
Spread the word. Tell your family, your friends, anyone you know. Even if you see someone down the street, just be like, support Teens Take Charge. Is a problem that we need to change, and is an issue that's present, and it takes a whole community to make that change, and we need you guys.
Yeah, it's like a collective identity. This is a movement, so this is supposed to include everybody who's listening, everybody who's not involved, because that's something you have to think about is who's not involved, who do you guys want to see on this podcast and our meetings and our presentations? And in order to have these people a part of it, you have to get them notified about who we are and what we do and have them get involved with us.
So where can they go if they want to go online to join us?
You could go to at Teens Take Charge NYC on Instagram and Facebook, and buy T-shirts with Teens Take Charge. They're very stylish. You'll love them.
Definitely.
And it's for a movement.
Okay, guys, just quickly before we go, we recorded this episode on Wednesday. Thursday, I get a text message from Nelson with a link to a video. And I start watching the video, and It's very grainy. It's a cell phone video. He's sitting at a computer, and then this happens next. Very excited to announce that Nelson has been accepted to Columbia University. And if that weren't enough, the next night I get another cell phone video sent to me from Whitney.
Wait. You got this, Whitney? Go. Yeah, what?
Whitney also got accepted to our top choice school, Mount Holyoke. So please join me in congratulating them. They've worked tremendously hard. Happy holidays, everybody. We'll be back in early 2018. Thanks for listening.